apt timing for members of the Kenyan Association of Stockbrokers and Investment Bankers to be in London, wooing Kenyans living abroad to invest in the stock market at home. What are you making of that move? Because we know that foreign investors as a whole have been pretty interested on the Kenyan equity space.
Good morning, Alishia. Yes, it's a really good move. I like the way we've seen a more positive outlook for the market. We've had a lot of foreign, the Kenyans in the diaspora look to invest in the local market, and I think it's a good move by most investment banks to try and woo these people are living abroad. They can do a lot of investment back home, plow the money they make there back home, and I think that coupled with some local confidence, we should see things get better for the local market.
Which sectors, when it comes to which sectors that are seeing most interest being highlighted, construction, energy and technology, and it's pretty interesting that financials aren't as high on the agenda as one would have assumed. Does that come as a surprise to you?
Yes, it does come as a surprise to me. In fact, we had a report by the Economic Survey 2010 listing the financial sector around third. We have agriculture and manufacturing coming in first. We also had that from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, ranking agriculture and manufacturing as the most grown sectors in this year. And I would say the financial sector is a bit overhyped at the moment, and I think maybe it's because of the gains they have made this year, and maybe looking at the commercial banks which account for the better part of this sector. We are waiting for their third quarter results. I think there's a lot of positive sentiment.
Well,
but looking forward, I guess
let's get specific, Robert, because Equity Bank for one is up 70% so far this year. What's your take on current valuations there? Because levels are sitting now at 2-year highs.
I think Equity Bank, first of all, the fair value, in my view, should be about 30 plus, should be in the tune of 35. And I think we are yet to see it hit that mark and rally well beyond. We also remember during their half-year presentation, they told us that they spent a lot on their IT infrastructure and a lot in their expansion plans in Juba and in Uganda, recovering the loss they made there. So looking at the results, looking at their books for the third quarter, we will have these figures much better. And I think the stock is behaving as it should. The demand for it, I think, is extrapolated from this. And I think looking forward, we might see the counter have substantial gains.
Well,
and to be more specific, maybe you should mention COP too.
Yeah, well, before we move on to another player, I mean, when it comes to Equity Bank, you mentioned some of its regional targets that have been met already. Yesterday, we heard that it's looking to enter Tanzania and Rwanda as well, and possibly through acquisitions. What are you making of that news and its foray into those territories?
That is a very welcome move. Moving to Rwanda, an economy that's grown the fastest in Eastern Africa by 6.2%. I think that's a good move. They have seen a potential hub for business. Moving to Tanzania is also a good move. And also looking at other initiatives they have done locally. They have had joint initiatives with some other financial institutions like Housing Finance. And we've also had partnerships with other groups like Safaricom with the M-Kesho. Yeah. So I think all these things map out for the better of the company. Well,
you touched on Co-op Bank. They're closing at new all-time highs. We know that the cooperative movement provides a very strong underpin for this company. On a fundamental basis, are we looking at solid enough support?
Yes. And at 19 shillings, that's an all-time high from the time they listed their stocks. And also looking at the company's performance, they also had a very good half-year results. We expect the third quarter also to be much better. Looking at the core area of their business, they tend to focus on the savings and credit cooperative organizations. And I think this is a growing area, especially with the increased appetite for business in the country and the SMEs which find funding through these circles. So I think they're yet to hit their climax.
Well, we've been looking at a lot of the positives. Mumias, though, not surrounded by much positive news. We've got farmers who supply sugarcane to Mumias having lost 881.2 million shillings over the last 4 months after the miller actually refused to pay prices that were set by the Kenya Sugar Board. What are you seeing playing out on that front? Because certainly yesterday the share price hard hit.
Looking at Mumias Sugar Company, the prospects are not too sweet, no pun intended. But looking at what they're doing and what they're planning to do, we have them getting funding for an ethanol project. They got 1.6 billion into this. They're moving into a sector which has a lot of appetite, a lot of demand, because as it is now, the demand outweighs the supply. So I think these problems they're having with the farmers may be short-term hiccups. Mm-hmm. And also looking at the trend of the stock, we find it rarely adheres to fundamentals. When it should be doing well, it doesn't do as well. It's also moved largely by foreign investors. So I think we should look at Mumias Sugar Company and its stocks also on the bourse with a long-term perspective. And if we were to do that, I think the prospects are still bullish in my view.